Hello, hello and greetings. So, welcome to our live with me and Greg Nardi, who should be signing on anytime soon. Hi, Greg. Yay, there you are. Hello. Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi. Southern Portugal. How's everyone doing? Let's just get Greg on here. Except, yay!
Hey,
Hi,
how are
Greg.
you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good.
Good
Just
morning.
getting myself settled. I just got in from class and I've got my tea warming up. So
Take your time.
yeah.
Move with ease. Hi, everyone. So we are having a IG Live redo because we tried to have one in January, didn't we, Greg?
You did.
Across time and space. It was a 12-hour time difference. You were in southeastern USA, and I was 12 hours ahead of you in Thailand, and the connection was just too poor. So we said, let's have a redo. So here we are.
Yeah.
I'm
And
super excited.
you've got some big news since we last talked, right?
Oh
You've
my
now
gosh.
inaugurated the shala.
Oh, it's all go. Yeah. So the big news is we have opened up our yoga space in. Are you there, Greg? Oh, let's hope for a good connection. Are you there? Oh no. Let's wait for Greg's connection. Yes, well, we wait for Greg's connection. I can share the news. Yes, so we opened up a yoga shala in the southwest of Portugal in the Algarve. It's called Yoga Roots 𝐍𝐵𝐻𝐻. You can go follow us at Yoga Roots 𝐍𝐵𝐻𝐻. I'll put it in the chat there. So we are open. The doors are open, and we welcome you all to come visit us. We are teaching 1 to 2 week intensives. There is Greg back. Let us see. Hello, Violetta. How are you? Oh, Greg. Yes, you're back. So yeah, well, we were just waiting for you to hop back on. I was just letting the folks know we opened up our yoga space on last Saturday, Yoga Roots 𝐍𝐵𝐻𝐻.
Very nice.
And
how's
it's
it going? Have you had classes yet, or?
yeah, this is the second week of our 2 week intensive.
Oh, nice.
So the doors are open, and we are just getting the word out and finishing. You know, the major renovation is done, but now we do the decorating and all the details and knickknacks that really make it really make a yoga space a yoga space. Yeah. But yeah, it's super cute.
Good. That's where it can be fun, actually, that little decorating part.
Yeah, no, that's fun. The fun part begins. And I'm super excited for when you are going to come out and visit us. But that's a story for another life.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So,
but yeah. So, how much time do you have, by the way, Greg? I just want to be mindful of that.
I'm good. I have plenty of time this morning.
Let's aim for about half an hour to 45 minutes.
Sounds good to me.
Does that sound good? And people, you can come and go as you please, and I'll go ahead and save the replay so you can watch the recording on Petri and Wambui. But yeah, Greg and I, Greg, I've always, I don't know, the more that I get to know you, the more of a kindred spirit I feel that you are. And so I'm just super excited that we are collaborating very soon at Purple Valley in Tenerife. The first time.
Yeah, I got that connection early on. And of course, you were the one that initiated the conversation about co-hosting a retreat. And I couldn't be more pleased to see, because we are far away from each other, right? So like we've got this connection that we maintain through, technology.
Years.
Yeah, but to kind of be in that space and co-creating together, I'm really excited about it.
In person, me too. And so we have had conversations, offline, one-on-one for years now. I think it was 2020 when we kind of, or maybe a little prior to COVID, that we it was with the �𝐚𝐬𝐢 initiative that it was like, oh, okay. And but even prior to that, you know, just the courage you showed when you know, offered back your authorization, I was like, yo, that's kind of a boss move. And you know, folks, the literature is out there, so for folks who want to hear the backstory, you could go ahead and find it. But I was like, hey, this is a guy who's really walking in his principles, not just talking a good game. Here's a person who is willing to risk and to give up stuff, you know, in order to stay in integrity. So that was the first time, like, I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And if we wanted to a little bit like let the folks know what to expect for our retreat, maybe we can talk a little bit about the theme and the approach that we're going to be using or co-creating when we have our option. Do you just kind of want to say a little bit about that, and then I'll go?
Yeah, I think the overarching theme is practitioner-centered approach to the practice of Ashtanga yoga. Mm-hmm. You know, it's something that occurred to me over years of reflection, was how much we emphasize sort of the lineal purity, which I think is important, and also the authority of the teacher as the representative of the lineage. But sometimes in that process, it seems to me that the practitioner can get lost, actually, or can almost come third in that process of importance or hierarchy. And so kind of just exploring new ways of teaching. So not really messing with the method so much, but really the ways that we teach the method, and you know, how to make it a little more centered around each individual's experience.
Yeah, no, I love that, and I resonate with that. And that comes from the you know, training and just education I've been doing around, you know, there's of course the buzz of trauma informed everything, trauma this, trauma that, trauma sensitive, trauma conscious, but you know, there's a reason for it, and it's absolutely the case. And upon reflection of just examining and witnessing power dynamics in our lineage that were, you know, harmful and damaging, and definitely getting in the way of the process of yoga, I have come to realize that examining power dynamics and restructuring the teacher-student lineage relationship is not only necessary, but absolutely long overdue if Ashtanga yoga is going to continue to be relevant and helpful in people's lives. Yeah. So for sure, a more, yeah, just the emphasis on agency and consent and transparency, and even just being able to communicate honestly, like even starting there, communicating honestly with a teacher is a lot of things I take for granted, and then realize that, oh, not everybody is actually having the same experience that, you know, I might be having in their practice and in their relationship with their teacher. Case in point, you know, we were just teaching in Fuerteventura, and there was a practitioner who, she was an advanced practitioner, and she did some second, and she, you know, said, hey, would it be okay if I, you know, cut my practice short and did some third, you know, because I usually do practice at home, and it would be really nice for me to do third in a group atmosphere. And I was like, of course, like, this is your space, you know, make it work for you. And you know what, after the practice, she cried, and I was like, you know, what's going on? And she was like, it was just such a welcoming atmosphere, welcoming energy. You know, it's like, it was touching, but also a little bit sad that it was such a jarring experience for her. Like, whoa, it can actually be like this. And I was like, yes, girl, it can. Yeah. So
interesting, because I found throughout, you know, I probably started traveling and teaching workshops, like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago or something like that. And one of the things that occurred to me, that the primary thing that I was doing, it wasn't about bringing any amazing information to people or anything like that. It was giving permission, which I think it seems a little crazy that we have to give permission, but I found that was the primary thing that I offered, was telling people it's okay to do what feels right to you.
Totally, totally, absolutely. And that it's the permission and it's the empowerment and the relief that follows, you know, and I just wonder, like, what is it about our collective unconscious that it's so unfamiliar for people to trust in themselves and be empowered in themselves, and especially yoga in particular? Like, what might that be about, like, just from your experience?
I mean, I don't know that I have an answer for that. I think it's a really important inquiry for all of us. We all have stories about working within systems that teach us how to be disenfranchised from our own experience, that teach us to listen to external authorities and to find our place within a system rather than trusting that kind of inner wisdom that we all have.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, just in terms of pedagogy, you know, I found like there is, of course, there is absolutely a place in the, you know, the teacher is there who is having the decades and the sort of the vessel with the knowledge. And then the student, the relationship, the role is to receive that. Like, there's absolutely a place for that. But sometimes that stuff gets corrupted and lost in translation, where it's like really the word power is what comes to my mind. Like, is because it's you know, even as I talk of, you know, let's have power let's have power within, let's have shared power, let's have a much more less hierarchical relationship to power with each other. The fact of the matter is that it's never going to be fully egalitarian, because the student or the person is coming to the teacher for something, right? So it's never fully like, you know, let's hang out like pals, because the responsibilities and the roles are different. But how can we maintain what I'm calling a healthy expression of shared power, as we recognize the roles and responsibilities to be different, essentially, right? And the same with my children, you know, as a parent, it's not a democracy. Nor does it need to be, like, you know, because my role is to keep my children safe and, you know, to share, like, hey, you know, you touch that hot stove, something's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's not, anyway, that's just what I'm sitting with. And I feel there's been not too many role models in my life, sad to say, that actually embody what is a healthy expression of shared power.
I love it, though, because, you know, it's so important that this is a relational teaching method, and I think sometimes we can sort of overcorrect to the point where, you know, especially now, like, people are learning through technology and through videos, and this kind of relational aspect can very easily be lost. But we're interpersonal beings, you know, we're meant to learn through relationship. I think that the role of the teacher, although I think that the role of the teacher needs to be examined, you know, it's not about the authority that we hold or being above or anything like that, but it is an important thing to recognize that, like, standing in that place where somebody orients towards you as part of their healing journey and their learning journey is incredibly not only powerful but almost necessary to the individuals.
Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree. That resonates with me. The relationality of it, yeah, which can get lost when we are sort of, there's like so much to choose from. Like, do I want teacher A, B, C, or D? It's like endless options to choose from. So choosing to be super intentional and remaining in relationship over a long period of time is, that is key.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you?
But it's interesting you kind of draw that parallel between like raising kids. You know what I mean? Because I have oftentimes thought sometimes as a teacher, like it feels a little bit like that.
I mean,
but yeah, go ahead.
It's taking care, and it's assuming responsibility. And yeah, it's that going back to that what was the word? Relationality aspect of the dynamic. Yeah.
I think it's, we are sort of being involved in somebody's process of development. Such an important thing.
It's a huge responsibility and a huge honor. Because let me tell you, like recovering from spiritual heartbreak and spiritual cynicism, it's so like, oh my God, it's so like, it took a long time for me at least.
Yeah. I feel that.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But the good news is on the spiritual path, everything, all experiences can be, spun from straw into gold. So nothing, is kind of, it's all good. Like we can bring it all with us. The only thing is like if somebody just quits because of, experience that is getting in the way of the reason why they started the yogic path in the first place, right? And I'm saying that very...
What do you mean? Like, can you clarify that a little?
I'm saying that I don't know what I said. Maybe I'm rambling a bit.
If they leave for a reason.
Yeah, if they quit yoga or Ashtanga, and then are like, no, this is not for me.
Yeah. Which
is also valid because everybody has their path. But it's a shame that if people, if you walk away from something that was supposed to be healing and helpful for you, and it's the opposite. That's what I was interested
I think being grounded in the yoga philosophy, I've sort of broadened my definition of yoga so much.
Yes.
I feel like yoga is just like personal evolution, it's self-actualization. So that's something I don't see ever being able to walk away from, really. Right? I do feel like we're all on this journey.
That's a good way to look at it. That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think of it like that. Yeah. So one way or another, you're in it.
You're in it. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little more cloudy, sometimes a little more clear, but you're in it. A little
more intentional and yeah, okay, that's cool. No, that's a really good way to look at it. Yeah, we are all kind of in this path of personal evolution, whether we okay, that's cool. I had a question. Oh, folks, for those who are there on the live, if you have any questions for Greg and we just hopped on. We are talking about our practitioner-centered approach to Ashtanga Yoga, and we're going to be doing our 1-week retreat at Purple Valley, Tenerife. What was it, April 8th through the 15th? So, and you know me, Greg, I'm all about the personal evolution as well as the collective, what's called in our circles, our orbiting circles, collective liberation, collective healing, this socially engaged approach to yoga, to spirituality, to Buddhism. So let's try and kind of link the two together. What does a practitioner-centered approach to yoga, how does it lend itself to this kind of collective healing, liberation work going on in the collective consciousness right now, from your point of view? Like,
great question.
I asked you first so I could
yeah, I know. All right.
I mean, to me, it speaks of the interconnectivity of things, to the interdependence of things. And, I know in our industry, there's the romanticization of interconnectivity and interdependence, like may all beings be free, yippee, happy, and, but there's actually, like, if we're really thinking about interconnection and interdependence, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Right? Case in point, COVID and the pandemic, and how our lives were totally disrupted and changed as a result of our interconnectivity and interdependence during a global pandemic. So naturally, like if you take care of within, it will have ripple effects without. So if we're doing stuff that waters the seeds of love and compassion and self-empowerment and self-acceptance, that means, to me, your energy is going to show up in a different way versus watering seeds of, you know, that intentionally or unintentionally, you know, water the seeds of greed, hatred, and delusion, right? So that's what that means to me, like starting from where you're at, which is your own body, your own mind, your own nervous system, making sure you can kind of self-regulate your nervous system in a positive way, to begin to even be open to having conversations of our interdependence and interconnection.
Yeah, God, there's so much here.
I just kind of go at it because, yeah, this is not our first time at the rodeo together.
I've always found it interesting how we exist both as individuals and as collective, right? Like we tend to think, particularly in the global West, that, you know, we are individuals, and we sort of celebrate this idea of individualism.
Right.
But we're not.
Yeah.
We are individuals, but we also step into these systemic roles, where we, you know, systems only exist because individuals share these ideas.
Yes.
And so,
with or without consent, by the way.
Oftentimes without, oftentimes unconsciously as well.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So if yoga is really this idea of, you know, again, learning how to regulate your nervous system, healing on an individual level, but also beginning to recognize the different sort of subconscious patterning of the mind, right? This idea of like samskaras and chitta vritti nirodha. Then we have to recognize the ways that these systems have imprinted on us, and the ways that we perpetuate these systems, right? So you started with this thing about like trauma-informed yoga and accessibility. Person-centered yoga means meeting each person where they're at, whether that means they trauma-informed, whether that means the practice needs to be more accessible, whether we need DEI training, right? But recognizing that we meet each individual where we're at, and in the process of meeting each individual, we are going to come up with our own samskaras. We are going to have to face our own bias in that process.
Absolutely.
It became kind of apparent to me. This is like a recent revelation for me, because I'm sort of working in the yoga therapy field a little bit more, and I'm starting to work in kind of institutions, right? So these establishment medical settings. And I recognized a lot of the reasons why I went to yoga in the first place was a real kind of anti-establishment feeling, a real dissatisfaction with establishment.
Right.
And so, but then like the converse of that was going into those systems, or going outside of established systems, how much misinformation there oftentimes was, how much spiritual bypassing there can be, right? And so like what I'm recognizing is that impulse to go against the establishment, to go against systems that I found harmful at the time. If I wasn't also addressing my internalized bias, what was oftentimes happening was, you know, we create like white utopias, we create ableist, you know, groups and these types of things. So if we're gonna create a better world, we have to deal with our individual stuff. We have to heal.
Amen. No, that you hit it on the nail there. It's interesting that I think so much of people, you know, who I've talked with, who have been practicing for for decades, and even people who, you know, just are like, I have to go to a yoga class, I don't know why. So much of it is this dissatisfaction, this dukkha about, you know, whether it's their job or whatever. But this underlying, like, yeah, you said it, this sort of like anti-establishment, the status quo, something about it is not serving me. And then how just to somehow, if one then chooses to teach and that this is going to be your livelihood, then it's a real kind of tricky balance to then appease, let's say, the gods of racialized capitalism, while maintaining that seed of I'm doing this because there is suffering, and I'm trying to break free of it, I'm trying to get free. But then how so much can be co-opted as a result of, you know, spiritual materialism or the spiritual bypass, or let me just remain comfortable. And there are people who will accommodate that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, you know, that they're wrong and bad, because, you know, we all are trying to, you know, earn a living and just, you know, somehow get by, especially in uncertainty. But then what happens is that it's no longer about yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, or the, you know, what can be quite painful confrontational work of examining the vasanas and samskaras, both on an individual and collective group level. It's no longer about getting free from that, but remaining comfortable.
Yeah, that's right. That's,
you know,
that's the key to it. We oftentimes respond to our suffering, but we don't also take the time to examine our privilege. Right?
The suffering that comes from privilege.
Also,
you know, because it's so easy to kind of, especially for folks who are more aligned with a societal privilege, to feel like, oh, okay, I can be a savior because I have so much, so let me go out and save. And it's like, are you sitting with the pain of what it means to be you? And then the kind of like, it's very insidious. And so yes, I cut you off, Greg, but I just wanted to speak to that. And this is what 𝐼𝐴𝐺𝐺𝐻𝑚𝐺𝑖's book, The Trauma of Caste, does so well. She says that, you know, the pain of the soul wound of caste, while it's more visible and the burden of it is being held by caste oppressed folks, right, like your caste dominant people are hurting and suffering too. And so there is that reciprocity of care that is needed, as well as maybe just the kind of, that folks, go please, those who are still on the live, and I see there's quite many of you, thank you for hanging with us. Please go and get 𝐼𝐴𝐺𝐺𝐻𝑚 Soundarajan's book, The Trauma of Caste. It is beautiful, tender, poignant medicine for anyone who is practicing any dharma-based spiritual technology, whether it's yoga, whether it's Buddhism, any of it. So please go ahead and get yourself The Trauma of Caste. So yeah, the pain and privilege of the pain of privilege is something that's often overlooked, because it's like, well, go ahead.
No, it reminds me of that sutra that talks about, like, you know, even at the moments of the greatest pleasure, that we are sowing the seeds of our future suffering. Ooh. You know, like, right, right.
Does it say anything about the suffering of others too?
Well, no, unfortunately it doesn't. Okay. But no, I think once we begin to understand that we are interpersonal beings, we are tied to each other.
Totally.
You know, this the thing is, and I think when we start to step out of, you know, establishment, trying to create a better world, we just have to be really careful about the ways that we're recreating the old world unconsciously. You know, it's not enough to just do window dressing and make a perfect utopia for me. if we're going to make a better world where none of us suffer, like my suffering is bound up with your suffering.
That's right.
And
And
if I don't
our
create
liberation.
a world where you're free, then my suffering is going to continue again in the future.
Totally. No, that you absolutely. I felt that way when I moved to this beautiful part of the world. I was like, I see, you know, little pockets of privilege, but it's like everyone is in their own little place. They make their own little beautiful place in the countryside, and I'm like, community, I want inclusive community, like, come on, like, so. But maybe it's because I'm just getting to know folks, and I'm not like in the networks. But it felt that energetically. I was like, where's the dialogue? Where's the dialogue across lines of difference? Like,
yeah, as we know, it takes work. You know what I mean? And like,
it takes work
to constantly be engaged. You can't just carve out a little perfect place where you get to not do the work.
You know what? I'm reading Octavia Butler's Parable of the Sower. So good. It's this, folks, go get another book recommendation, Octavia Butler, Parable of the Sower. It's about, it's a dystopia where the world is in anarchy. And this is California. It's set in California, 2023, 24, 25. And there's this gated community where they're all fine. And outside there's the anarchy and a lot of violence and harm. And the protagonist, who's this young teenager, is like, you know what, we're kind of sitting ducks here. And it's basically like time is running out before those outside who are super hungry and desperate are gonna knock down the gate and come and basically like come for us. So it just speaks to that fallacy of, well, as long as I take care of me and my nearest and dearest and we're good, like, that that's all the work there is. So
beautiful. Yeah, dystopian fiction can you know, it can really educate a lot.
A lot. I mean, it's amazing how prescient Octavia Butler is. She basically says, you know, the world as we know it comes crashing due to global climate crisis and economic instability. And I'm just like,
we're here.
Okay, fact is stranger than fiction or whatever. Like, I rarely read science fiction and dystopia stuff, but Octavia Butler is just somebody that has been, you know, coming more and more. Like, just keep hearing it. So I'm like, all right, let's go for it.
And I think at the same time, I forget exactly what your tagline on the workshop that you recently taught that we were in together. But it was something like about like dealing with the end of the world. Like, do you remember what it was?
I don't. Was it the workshop?
Nonviolence and the Safer Spaces workshop, and
it was something. No, about... I can't. I can't pull it up right away. But we'll be sure to. Hi, Özgür. Nice to see you. Özgür was just in our workshop from Turkey, and he brought these amazing lamps, and they're beautiful, and they're up now, Özgür, and beautiful golden light is coming from them. So. Many thanks and blessings to you and your family, Özgür. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'll go ahead and read it. And
anyway, the reason why it came to mind is because, like, yeah, we are dealing with a lot of calamity, but I think the sentiment of whatever that tagline was kind of maintaining our, you know, peace and our orientation towards joy. And it's one of the reasons why I love working with you, because like there's this heavy awareness of everything that is actually going on, but I love that you always manage to orient towards joy. And that's
Greg, that's so sweet. Oh, yeah, thank you. No, I mean, like Lama Rod says, you know, it's around the calamity and the energy of calamity. Now more than ever, what's needed are the stable energy, the joyous energy, and people who embody that and who have actually like continually stare into the abyss and choose something different. So we are really needing folks to absolutely orient towards their yoga, their meditation, their mindfulness, whatever gets you in that energy of stability, of ease. That is, it becomes like, you know, lighthouses for folks, you know. So it absolutely speaks to that. And yeah, you know, I have two small children. I can't be waking up every day and having this gloom and doom for them, you know, and it absolutely oriented the way I speak about, you know, because I'm educating my children around, you know, white supremacy and living in a, you know, these structures. But how I choose to do it and the energy I come with, I've had to really like be very intentional and strategic about how I do it, because you know, these little babies, like they need to enjoy their childhood. They need to stay in the energy of wonder and of awe, and that is kind of a hard thing to do, like in the best of times, what to say of our times, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the energy of joy is for sure something that yeah, it's I'm glad that it resonates with you and you pick up on it. And yeah, we gotta do that for one another.
Yeah, we do. And I think this is even for adults, you know, we hold these workshops, and I think it is an important part of yoga that we are clear about what we're facing, you know, and about the systems of oppression. If yoga is a liberation system, we need to know what it is that's oppressing us.
We can't be in denial about it. We can't be in denial about it, because we're not gonna get to where we want to be, you know, which is yoga's chitta vritti nirodha, isn't it?
It is. And at the same time, I think that we need to hold each other with compassion, recognize that difficult work, and that, you know, we don't want to bring up shame. We just want to move forward, you know, and orient towards joy, that we should be able to celebrate our communities.
Yeah. Even without the intention of bringing up shame is going to come up, because it's just so much around trauma. Like trauma and shame are just like absolutely like thick as thieves, let's say. So it's like, how do we respond when that shame comes up, when that, you know, spiral of like, oh my, you know, how are we going to show up and respond, whether it's just bearing empathic witness, or, you know, just asking the person, you know, like what it is they need in that moment, and just yeah, being of some helpful energy for that when it does come up, because it will. And
wonderful. Yeah, I agree. And it's interesting too. I'm just gonna say hi to Shay. Hey Shay, how are you?
Yeah. Say hi to the people as they come up.
Yeah. But you know, this idea of shame, I'm always fascinated too. It doesn't even have to be about these heavy topics. Like I watch people practice, and you know, you can see their shame, their self-judgment, you know, and like this is again coming back to the idea of giving permission, like watching when people practice and those old messages around body image, or you know, getting older come up, and just holding that space with compassion, and letting it be okay to show up however you are. You're not less of a yogi because you can't do this move or that move. You know, it's really about like being with your experience in a shame, you know, maybe not a shame-free zone, but where shame is allowed.
Oh, yes, shame is allowed. No, I couldn't agree with you more. And in fact, I just saw the experience where a practitioner who turned 60 was sharing, you know, just you know, what is essentially the ageism in our society, and it was being reflected of like, whoa, like it's super hard to be in a body that can't do the things it used to do. And so and you know, Shayna, small shout out to Shayna, you know, the work she was doing in 2020, all that advocacy work within Ashtanga Yoga, you know, just around I lost my train of thought, but yeah, the fact that, you know, where do the older Ashtanga Yoga practitioners go? Like so many of them just exit stage left, because it was like, well, there's nothing more for me here. And I'm like, it doesn't have to be like this. It does not have to be like this. The only reason it is like this is because there's a lack of imagination and a lack of just like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I love that.
Can we give ourselves the audacity to imagine? Okay, not only like, okay, sure, the safety or the permission, but let's have the audacity to imagine and to dream. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're going to be doing together very soon in person in Purple Valley, Tenerife. Hi, Tara. Namaste, Tara. Anything else you want to end on, Greg, before we wrap up here?
No,
it's been so nice chatting with you. I'm so excited. Yay. So folks, come join us very soon in Tenerife. I'll be there for 2 weeks with Petri and stay on for a 3rd week with Greg. So come for 1 week or all 3 if that's how you roll.
All right. Thank you so much, Wambui. It's really good to spend time with you.
Thank you, Greg. And we'll just continue this way in person soon. Thanks, Greg. Thanks, everyone, for stopping by. Catch the replay if you didn't get all of it. Bye. Bye.